Hello and welcome back everybody. Jean here with more high strangeness and anomalies from Mars. In this one I obtained special exclusive permission from the guys over at Third Phase of Moon to bring you extracts of their special report that they did recently on YouTube regarding my Egyptian style artifacts that I discovered on Mars. So let's go ahead and hear what Brent, Blake and their panel had to say about my discoveries.
Blake Cousins here, Third Phase Moon with a special report. Is it a possibility that the ancient civilization that built the pyramids in Egypt came from the red planet? Gene Ward has submitted to me incredible Google Mars imagery that relates to construction built on Mars that resembles construction on Earth in regards to the Egyptian pyramids. What's it all about? We've got a special panel tonight with Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio. We're going to go out to Los Angeles and speak with Opala Asteria. She's been to Egypt and she's looking over these discoveries right now. It's going to be an incredible update from her. And we're also going to go to Arizona with Doc Skinner and get his insight, including Dr. J. It's going to be an incredible ride tonight. Hang on, everybody. We also got my brother Brent Cousins with me. Let's get to it and take a look at Gene Ward's evidence. We're going to break it down.
The first one we're looking at is this strange one right there, folks, about 12 meters long, and initially it looks like some type of technology or a machine, but after a friend of mine had a look at this, she said, hang on a second, this looks more like some type of sculpture or carving of a scarab beetle with the scoop-like appearance over there in the front and this rounded dome-like shape here towards the back, and specifically this strange part over here sticking out of the larger part, and then the little winglet or maybe even a leg over here to the left. So there it is. If you look at it, it looks like a stone carving of a scarab beetle. This is the one that they have on exhibition in the British Museum, and this is from the Karnak Temple complex in Egypt. If you have a look at the comparison over there, it's an uncanny resemblance, folks. We've got the front part over there like a scoop, the head over here, and then the part over here to the back. Very similar to these guys.
Okay, this structure here, it does look a lot to me like a structure. At first I was looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't look that much different than the other, what appears to be rocks around it. But now that I look at it a little closer, there is some abnormalities in the size and shape of it. So now that he compares it to the scarab beetle, wow, this is very interesting. So I actually went on a research trip in Egypt 3 years ago, and I bought a little scarab beetle stone, very much like the one up in the right-hand corner here. And it does look exactly like that. I do have to admit that it looks very much the same.
Yeah, that's why I always love footage like this. Catching stuff from Mars of possibly ancient civilization, which is what it looks like with our ancient civilizations here on Earth. Now, this is really interesting. A scarab. Okay, I wouldn't have personally thought of scarab myself. However, when you look at the two side by side, it's very uncanny. Now, however, there are tons of other stuff here on Earth that you could say looks like those buildings. But in ancient Egypt artifacts, this is something that their culture does look like. Now, I don't think that a beetle was what was used to fashion giant buildings on Mars. I don't think Mars got their impression from the beetle, but why they look similar, the scarab is a natural thing. It's supposed to be, So that's the irony of this. But again, the fact that we have more and more evidence showing on Mars of stuff that looks like from Earth is very compelling.
The next anomaly is what I call the Eye of Horus, and it's a sculpted piece that looks almost like the Eye of Horus, and that structure there is about 500 meters across, and if we take a close-up look we can see what looks like an eyebrow over there, two eyelids and a pupil right there in the center. We can even see the hairs of the eyelid over there. And look at the part over here to the right. It's slightly elevated above the surface, so it looks like this is some type of structure. Could it be an overflow of water or something that was inside this circular depression, or could it be a sculpted piece? Could it be a boat? Who knows? And there we have a look at the comparison, and you can see this is from a pendant, the ancient Egyptian sky god.
All right, in this image, we'll call it the Eye of Horus. All right, it is, when zoomed in, something that looks like the Eye of Horus, and you have an eyebrow. There's no denying it. That's what it looks like. And the ridge at the top that is supposed to be creating the eyebrow is different from the rest of the natural structure. Now, I'm looking at it thinking, okay, those are cliffs going down into a cavern. You know, it could be runoff, and those are like the runoff lines. That's a possibility. Now, as he zooms out, we look at it. Yes, there are large monuments that can only be seen from space, but the fact that this has been pressed up against a gigantic other structure, just something doesn't fit right with me on this one. It could be that thing where you look into things and you can see what you want to see. I don't know, but up close, it does look like the Eye of Horus.
This is interesting. It does look very much to me like the Eye of Horus, though, but also definitely could be a structure that is somehow encased in. It looks like it's shaped quite a bit differently than this is. I mean, and also there's this other circle up above it, something else that seems to be buried under sediment. To me, really, this looks like some sort of structure, something very interesting, some sort of tunnels and a structure right here that was buried under sediment during some ancient cataclysm. That's just my theory. Although it does very much look like the Eye of Horus right there.
I immediately said the Eye of Horus. I immediately did. And then, of course, it was the Eye of Horus. And because that eye is such a famous logo. As a matter of fact, it's used in the Temple of Set. It's very, very famous. So God doesn't build in straight lines or round circles. And this dome, whatever it is clearly, again, some structure, artificial, not naturally. Obviously made by man or something intelligent. Maybe slaves, I don't know, AI, who knows? The point is, yet another thing on Mars that looks like something that connects with ancient Egypt.
We need more science. Look, there are some strange objects happening. I have seen pictures of what looks like people, what looks like aliens, what looks like vases, what looks like spaceships, but we don't know, okay? Who knows?
And we're looking at the huge pyramid I discovered at the base. We're looking at a length of about 2 kilometers. So this is a huge structure, guys. Still see 4 of the sides. Look at the perfect symmetry and geometry to that. And then we've got the apex, and it looks like the capstone is missing. It's got a very smooth, flat surface right there. And if we check out the sediments over here, it looks like this was flooded in the distant past. And then over here to the bottom, this looks very similar to a ramp like we find down in the pyramids in South America. And there we've got a comparison. This is the Great Pyramid of Giza. And oddly enough, it's also got a rectangular part over there, similar to this. Coincidence, but rather weird.
We got this email from Jim Ward this morning, and I would say I was quite blown away about what we saw and the images that were coming in from Mars. When it comes down to Mars and actual possibility of life actually existing 2,000 to maybe 2 million years ago, I'm a believer in this. And what we're looking at is evidence that leans towards history of an ancient civilization.
All right, now this one, the pyramid, I have to say yes. It looks, it doesn't look natural. And we have discovered this in many other locations on Mars, as well as here on Earth, where pyramids look like they've been through, hell and back, through maybe a catastrophic event.
The temple, whoa, the pyramid, the four-sided pyramid, something that is not just very common with what we've known about ancient Egypt and other civilizations here on Earth. This one matches Egypt, not just the four sides, but wow, that image from up looking straight down, again from like Google Earth on Earth and the one on Mars, are so uncanny, because when you look at Egypt pyramids versus Mayan pyramids, etc., there's differences, but not this one. These are so close that I would say that they look more similar than the Egyptian pyramids, this one does, to anyone else on Earth. So very, very uncanny.
Okay, this is definitely a pyramid. I don't see what else it could be. And it actually very much reminds me of the pyramid that has been found in Antarctica that people have been sharing from the Google Maps in the Antarctica that looks like it's covered by snow and ice. This looks very similar to me. Something I want to say about all this is I don't know about there being an Egyptian link. And I say this because I don't think the Egyptians built the pyramids. I think they inherited them. I believe from my research that the pyramids are much, much older, especially the pyramids of Giza are much, much older than we say they are. I personally worked with Larry Dean Hunter. His work is very interesting. He talks a lot about the pyramids being millions of years old because of fossilized shells he has found at the top and the weathering of them. It looks like they were actually buried under the Great Flood, and the flood waters had to recede for them to be as weathered as they are, which would have been millions of years ago. And this, to me, looks like a pyramid covered in sediment, like, most likely millions of years of sediment. So, yeah, I don't see what else this could be. I mean, you can see the sides of it. Definitely seems the capstone is missing.
And then I found many of these blocks that are still tightly packed together. These are here about 5 to 8 meters across, and if we take a close-up look, we can see how these were shaped to fit together, very similar to the blocks we see in the ruins of South America. There's another block over here towards the back, similar in size and shape to these over here on the right. And then on top we've got a little triangular block with a dome-like protrusion sticking out right there. Then we're looking at these blocks over here, still tightly packed together. And this one over here is very interesting. It looks like it could have been a column or a supporting structure that's about 4 by 8 meters in size. And next to it, we've got another square block. You can still see 2 of the flat sides over there. Very smooth bright surfaces, and it looks like a little triangle has been cut out of the one block over here. And these blocks remind me of those found over at the Awara Pyramid, the inner core limestone blocks, part of the external veneer.
All right, now we're looking at some cool stuff. This shot is very impressive. I'm going to say hands down, not natural. And I'm talking about these stone blocks and walls that look just like they do, in Egypt and other places around the world that have these gigantic stone blocks. This looks like a debris field of something that was built, and these are the pieces of it. And some of them came together in clumps, and you could see how they fit together. This photo and these images, wow. I love when we come across this type of stuff.
Again, the fourth one, I don't know what to make of it. They're, again, on Mars, another what looks to be abandoned buildings that look like our blocks or the top of pillars that were used in Egypt and Rome and Greece. Now, let me say one final thing. Project Horizon from the early 50s was out to put bases on the moon and Mars prior to 1965. Now, people can look it up. I don't need to go into the details of it. But one of the things they said was to also occupy old, abandoned civilizations. So buildings from, like we're seeing on Mars right now. Very interesting how all this ties together right now.
The similarities between Egypt and what we're seeing on Mars is undeniable. We're looking at pyramids. We're looking at blocks of stone that duplicate the look of what we see in Giza.
Okay, this to me reminds me quite a bit of the different temples built in Machu Picchu. I don't know if you'd say temples, but the different structures that were built in Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, that sort of area. And I say this because the way that these fit together here, it's not in an exact sort of formation, but it's like they were made to fit together in an irregular sort of way. You see how this one at the bottom here is curved, and then the other ones on top of it fit perfectly over it and are curved to fit into it exactly. And you see that with a lot of structures around the world that are super ancient.
So guys, I encourage you, go over to Third Phase of Moon and check out their special report in full. I'll include a link to that video in the description below. Thanks for watching, and to all of those who recently subscribed, welcome on board. I hope you enjoy my work and research. Take care everybody, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.